Now, when it comes to the hiring process, the main thing to emphasize here is that Netflix favors people over process, and the main reason why I'm saying this is because many other tech companies go above and beyond to do a hiring process that's as structured as possible. And while I won't go into details which one is the best, I will tell you that so long as they are transparent about these things, that's always a good sign. Now, what does it mean to have an unstructured hiring process? Well, it basically means that it's not unheard of that the Netflix hiring team would offer somebody a job on the spot, so long as they're exceptional and there's an immediate need for that skill set. Now, on the not so interesting part of things, having an unstructured hiring process means you cannot really hold people accountable for the way that they hire, meaning that the applicant experience is not a central element of their hiring strategy. And it's actually not unheard of to have people to wait more than 4 months for a reply after essentially applying with a CV. So for the hiring steps, if you pass the initial screening stage, there will be some contact either through telephone or online, into which basically the recruiter will assess your probability to be a good fit at Netflix. Then there will also be a second one with the higher up, with a hiring manager, for instance. And for example, for technical roles, they will test your technical abilities either by phone through some 1-hour exercise, or you will also likely be offered the options to take a take-home assignment. But the downside of that is that will take you up to 8 hours by some accounts. As you'd expect, after the phone screening, you will be invited to the on-site interview, which will be a panel interview, which is a great thing, by the way. And the way that works is with one-on-ones, half split between the technical abilities and half for cultural fit. Now, one important highlight here is for the technical ability. For instance, if you're good at algorithms, that won't suffice. You also have to be great and at defending your ideas, and that sense of ownership that I mentioned earlier in the video. Essentially, they put a lot more emphasis on your communication skills rather than on your technical abilities at this stage. Also, if you're going to be provided with an offer, keep in mind that salary is one of the last things to discuss there, and Netflix also prides themselves of being able to match salaries with the top of your own market. And maybe one more note here as a closing note. Another probably an advantage of not emphasizing on a structured hiring process at Netflix is that recruiters, they are not measured by the number of hires or the speed of the hire that they make, but rather by how long a hire stays at Netflix. So they are essentially recruiting for the mid to long term, that is 3 to 5 years. Now, since the interviewing process is not structured, is not set in stone, you will likely be asked rather diverse type of questions from the recruiter to the hiring manager all the way to the team manager. However, there is one thing that they will test, that is the cultural fit, and basically ask you at least a few questions about Netflix culture memo. So this being said, here are some examples that I compiled using some online resources. And last but not least, be sure to also prepare some questions for them. And if you're looking for some inspiration here, I also have a method that I also found online that is the 4 C's method. And the idea here is to look at 4 areas where you could eventually ask them questions. So you may choose from these questions as you see fit.